there is a single number on your credit card statement that your bank is desperate for you to focus on. It's not your total balance, and it's not the APR that you're paying. It's actually the minimum payment. That number is they have made it look too small and manageable, almost like they're trying to help you, but that's not helping. It's a carefully designed trap. This is not by accident. It is a business model, and it's engineered to keep you in the debt for decades. It transforms a single purchase item into a mountain of interest rate that they can profit from. This is how they do it. So you open a bill that you get your credit card statement. You see a balance of few $1,000s, and then you see one item in there, a minimum payment of $25. It feels like a relief. You think, okay, well, I can handle that. You make the payment and avoid the late fees and keep your account in good standing. Now, this creates a perfect illusion of control. After all, you're meeting your obligations, right? So what is the problem that's here? Well, the problem is you have just stepped into a financial treadmill, one that has been designed and engineered with a steep incline, and the off switch in this case has been deliberately hidden. The credit card companies have perfected this art and science because they understand the basic human psychology. They know that a low payment reduces the immediate financial stress. So you're basically hitting the post to the next milestone. That makes us more feel like accepting carrying a balance from one month to the next. What they don't advertise is that small monthly payment is precisely calculated tool designed for one and only one purpose: to maximize the amount of interest you pay over the longest period of time. The real business of credit card is not just about transaction fees. That's just icing on the cake. For most major banks, the vast amount of profit comes from the interest paid by the customers who are carrying a balance. In the industry, these customers are known as revolvers. They're actually the engine of profitability of these banks that offer credit cards. The minimum payment is actually a mechanism that keeps this engine constantly running and churning. It is a slow leak, quietly draining your financials over the years. So slowly, you might not even notice until you are already underwater. So how does this trap really work? How can a payment that keeps you in good standing and current also be the thing that locks you into this debt for decades? Well, it comes down to a simple, surprising math. Let's look at it. The math is based on the bank, and the bank is assuming that you are not trying to find out what the math is behind it. So most credit card companies use a formula designed to keep your monthly payment as low as possible. A common one is 1% of your principal balance plus interest rate and the fees for the month. This is insidious. It guarantees that your payment covers their profit, which is the interest rate first, before a single dollar gets applied towards the actual balance and make a dent on what you really owe to the bank. Well, let's use a real world example. Say that you have a $5,000 balance on a credit card with a 20% APR. You might make a minimum payment, which is set at 2% of the balance, which is, let's say it's about $100. That seems manageable, right? Well, but the brutal reality is in the first month alone, the interest charge is going to be $83. So if you pay $100, $83 goes towards the interest of the credit card payment as pure profit to these banks. Only $17 gets applied to the $5,000 of debt. That principal is barely moved. The next month, now you owe $4,983. That interest is now recalculated, and your minimum payment also shrinks a little bit because it's tied to your total balance. That's the crucial part of the trap. As your balance slowly declines, so does your minimum payment, stretching out the timeline to ensure that you pay the maximum interest possible for maximum profitability of these banks. So that $5,000 debt, if you only ever make minimum payment, it won't take you a few years to pay that off. In fact, it will take you 300 months, which is more than 25 years. And then you're going to end up paying $6,000 only interest rate. So your $5,000 purchase is going to cost you now $11,000 with a 25-year sentence for a debt that initially feel like you're in control and it's manageable. This is not by accident. Back in 1970s, the minimum payment of credit card used to be 5% of the balance. But the banks, they quickly learned that by lowering these number, they can create a more profitable account by keeping people in debt much, much longer. And that is the moment when it gets really personal, because this is not just a hypothetical scenario. There are debt calculators, and I've linked one in the description of my video. I want you to look at that debt calculator, find the one that you like or use the one that I recommended, put your balance, put your APR and your minimum payment. And then I can guarantee you that it will shock you how long it's going to take for you to pay off your balance. If you just do the math, go ahead and do that right now. So you've seen how this trap is actually built. So now you're asking, okay, well, what do I need to do about it? Well, now you understand the math and then you know that it's rigged against you. Now let's talk about how do you break out of this. The power to dismantle the system is in entirely your hand. And the secret weapon is actually very deceptively simple, which is pay more than the minimum payment. So let's go back to our example of the $5,000 debt on a 20% APR credit card. Paying a minimum $100 is going to lead to 25 years of debt nightmare. We just saw that. What if you found an extra $100 or maybe a $50 and paid that amount on top of your minimum payment? So by doubling your payment, you're not just cutting the payment in half, you're eliminating it. Instead of 25 years, you're debt free in just 2 or 3 years. The total interest you're going to pay drops from $6,000 to $1,300. So you're nearly saving $5,000 and reclaiming more than 2 decades of your life. This scenario is the credit card company hoping that you're not going to consider. In fact, there was a Credit Card Act of 2009, and they're legally required to show you this minimum payment impact information. So if you go look at one of your credit card statement, there's going to be a small box that actually says minimum payment warning. It shows how many years it's going to take you to pay out the balance with that minimum payment and what you're going to need to pay to eliminate this debt in X number of years. They have put it there, but they're betting that you're not going to find out. Just like a lot of people see the warning on the cigarette packets and they ignore it. So how do you take the control back? So here's the playbook. First, commit never paying only the minimum payment. Even an extra $20 a month is going to make a significant difference because that money is going to go directly to your principal and impact your interest rate pile. Second, open a spreadsheet or just download your favorite budgeting app and look for all the amounts that you're spending on things like subscription, dining out, daily coffee. It's not just about the payment deprivation. It's about strategically redirecting your money to defeat your biggest opponent, which is this interest rate. Third, pick a debt payoff strategy. Now, there are multiple strategies. The two most popular one that I always come across is debt avalanche or debt snowball. And I'm not a big fan of any one of them. You can use either one and they both work the best. So with the avalanche, you're attacking the debt with the highest interest rate first, saving the most money possible in the beginning. With the snowball, your debt first is a psychological win because you're paying off the small monthly payments and building the momentum. They both work, and the best one is the one that you're going to stick to. Now, finally, paying down the debt faster is also going to boost your credit score because carrying a high balance is actually hurting your credit utilization. So paying down the debt not only saves you a fortune, but also makes you credit worthy. The low minimum payment, your credit card statement, is not a lifeline. It's actually an anchor. It's a tool that is meticulously engineered and designed to generate decades of profit for these banks that are offering it. They're betting on your inaction. They're betting that you're going to take the easy route and make those small payments and remain stuck in their system for as long as possible. But now you know the truth. You know the math. You understand how this system works. So you need to take the control back and you need to start acting and applying the playbook that I just recommended, because every single dollar you pay above the minimum payment is a declaration that you're not going to be in their trap for 25 years. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel and you can watch the next video that's showing up in the screen. Thank you.